Let's take a look at the brutal zombie slaying sequel to a beloved series that is Dead Island 2. Is Dead Island 2 going to shape up to its predecessors? Is it going to be a new, fantastic zombie slaying adventure that is brought into the genre and series? So as we know, the world consists of a linear path with open world concept. It's comprised of 10 districts, all of which are iconic locations in the Los Angeles area. We have Santa Monica Pier, Venice Beach, and Beverly Hills, just to name a few. Although this is an extreme change of pace from games that came before it in the series and genre overall, there is still much to explore here, from loot caches to secret rooms and side paths, sometimes making you backtrack in order to access them completely. Based on where you are and the location you're in, the zombies will reflect this. This is something the game seems to do really well. Instead of 10 different reskinned zombies, there's plenty of variety in character models, clothing, zombie types, as well as abilities and specific enemy attributes, from blunt resistant to slash resistant, different elemental resistant zombies, as well as bulletproof zombies wearing body armor, brute zombies, big zombies that can spit goo on you and attract a horde. So far, as we know, the game consists of 24 story missions and 33 side quests. Now, this isn't that big in terms of content and playthrough time. These side quests could be of grander scale, as well as consist of simple, quick tasks and discoverable locations to loot items. This in the size of the world is a little jarring to say the least. Coming from the previous Dead Island games, as well as similar games in the genre, the likes of Dying Light, Dying Light 2, it is very interesting to see how Dead Island 2 is going to play out with this linear playstyle, less freedom, and a much more strict story path. Now, what we're used to from earlier games in the series is you have a main protagonist with a skill tree that you back in to your heart's content, creating the playstyle and character that you wish. In Dead Island 2, the characters at play here consist of 6 playable characters, or slayers as the game calls them, each with their own set of skills focusing around a specific playstyle. Now, this doesn't mean you're locked completely into the specific playstyle, it just means this character will specialize and continue specializing in this skill set throughout your playtime. Leveling and speccing into a skill tree or card system is a huge part in character and player progression, boosting existing skills or introducing new ones along the way. These are divided into tiers or attribute slots comprising of abilities, survivor, slayer, and Newman, each having an effect on specific attributes. Survivor, this consisting of health and overall endurance and mobility. Slayer, this being damage buffs and skills used in combat. Newman, relating to a new system introduced in Dead Island 2, Fury Mode. Cards can be earned through story progression, leveling, found around the world, or collected after killing specific zombies. Now, on top of all this, the game is accompanied with the ability to activate Fury Mode, as I said before. This gets built up over time through killing and turns you basically into a monster of a zombie. Clawing, punching, and kicking enemies into their demise, you basically turn into a one-man army, destroying everything in your path on the LA streets. As we know, Dead Island has always centered around melee combat, but there are plenty of guns at our disposal that too can be modified and upgraded. Early on in the game, we will not encounter any firearms. Through specific missions and secret loot caches, we can find firearms along the way, but at the early stages of the game, we will specifically only be able to use melee combat, which I think is fantastic because as we know, Dead Island as a whole, this is what the game's bread and butter in combat sense is all about. This title, though, is not a shooter, as we know. Melee is heavy in these titles. Not only this, but upgrading like we've always known it makes a return. From Wolverine-like claws with the ability to add electricity to them, to a sledgehammer boosted with impact damage. The numerous weapons so far that we've seen that we have at our disposal consist of different types of swords, knives, blunt weapons consisting of hammers, sledgehammers, baseball bats, to name a few. Now, all crafting is done at various benches around the world, and this is going to be very important. Having different styles of weaponry at disposal is very important as enemies are weak or immune to specific damage types, so going into a battle or a specific area, a new area, or encountering new enemies, it's going to be good to have different style weapons that have different effects and different kind of damage types. These damage types being slash, blunt, fire, electricity, and plenty more. Now, the real beauty in this game is the developers' new dismantle and gore system, which they've built completely from the ground up specifically for this title. It looks absolutely beautiful and amazing to say the least. It seems to create this immersion no other zombie title has done before, with the ability to slash zombies completely apart, punch through their faces, obliterate body parts, and completely explode them into a guts galore as we litter the streets of LA with tiny chunks of the undead. This is a big selling point for the title, at least for me. With all this said, I have to be honest when I say I am a little nervous about how this title will play out. It seems a little small and empty for a game in this genre, especially from Dead Island as a series and everything we've seen before from Deep Silver as a development team. With the ability to have up to 3-person co-op, I would assume the environments are a bit bigger and less linear than we've seen to believe. We will just have to see how this title plays out come launch, what will be brought to the table, what will give this game longevity and expanded story and world. We will have to see. The Dead Island series as we've known it was always expansive and known for its exploration, nooks and crannies, Easter eggs, loot, and other items we can find around the world. We're so used to having freedom to exploration, and now with the game going into a more linear path with less freedom, it's going to be very interesting to see how this game plays out. Not only when it comes to the game world being more restrictive, but having a specific character that you have to get used to and choose at the beginning of your playthrough, hoping that you will enjoy the progress and progression of that character's skill tree. Whereas before we were so used to having a general skill tree that most games have and speccing as we go, choosing whatever path we want. Now we have to pick a specific character that focuses on a specific path, being able to find these cards and find the specific cards we want and need around the world and speccing them into our character to create the zombie slaying machine that we all dream of. Now I am a huge Dead Island fan. I remember pre-ordering and getting the collector's edition of the original game way back in the day. I still have it to this day. It was a little suitcase, one you would bring with you when you travel on vacation, and it had a bunch of mementos and different things like that. I'm very excited for Dead Island 2, and whatever it brings to the table, either way, I know it's going to be an enjoyable zombie slaying experience, and with them bringing it to an iconic location in the world, it's going to be absolutely fantastic to see how they implemented these areas and how they replicated different parts of LA. I'm super excited to see what Deep Silver has in store for this title. I would love to know what you guys think of Dead Island as a whole, Deep Silver as a development team, and Dead Island 2 as it makes its release pretty soon here. Are you excited for it? Are you going to be waiting for reviews, or are you a diehard fan like me that will just give it a go come launch? I appreciate you for checking out the video. Putting a like on the video helps me and the channel grow. Subscribe for all things Dead Island, as I will be working with Deep Silver and covering Dead Island 2 as it makes its release in a couple weeks. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and as always, stay happy, stay hyped, and have a beautiful day.